Okay, my name is Kurt Glendenning. I moved to Cary in 1970, and throughout that time, I always knew about Cary High School. We looked up to all those athletes and strive to be like them. But I went to Cary Elementary, I went to Kingswood Elementary, I went to Cary Junior High School, East Cary Middle School, and then Cary High School. I actually was a physical education teacher and athletic trainer starting in 1988. And after being an athletic trainer, I was the athletic director, then got into coaching football. And to finish out my 30 years at Cary High School, I was the women's golf coach for 2 seasons.
I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
I did not know that. Chris East at Millbrook tells me all the time, coaching golf is the best job to have in the high school.
It is. It's a good one if you don't have to put up with too much.
So Cary-Apex, obviously you've been in the community for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What is, when you think about Cary and Apex, the rivalry between the two schools, what comes to mind?
Well, it's something that you know in every sport when we're going to play Apex, and it's just a kind of an unspoken thing. You just don't lose to Apex. Growing up, Apex was a smaller school, so we always looked at them as like being a younger sibling. And we knew a lot of people in Apex, and it's kind of funny, there are a lot of people who have married people from Apex or people from Cary, and just because of a small community. But you circle that on your schedule, and you just try harder that game. You're more focused that game. Throw out the records kind of thing. It's like bragging rights because so many people, work together, go to church together, and it's the high school level of the NC State, Carolina, Wake Forest, Duke, all those type of rivalries, but it's on the high school level.
Obviously, both towns have, you might even call cities, have changed a lot over the years. But when this all started, Cary and Apex were similar in that they were both, small like railroad towns, but
Mm-hmm.
they had railroad stations in town.
Mm-hmm.
Cary grew faster. What did that do to the rivalry as Cary got bigger, quicker, and Apex was playing?
Yeah, I think Cary just kind of, a lot of people in Cary they moved in, and they were really smart. They were all IBM people, and I think we just got kind of like an attitude of being superior, and it kind of stayed that way. But I think we were a little bit closer to Raleigh, and Apex was a little bit farther out in the rural communities, and maybe didn't develop as fast. But I've heard people say this before, is Apex has kind of felt inferior, and it makes them mad. It makes them really mad. They can't stand hearing about what Cary does and what Cary has and how good they are and all that. And so that's kind of the attitude that the student athletes take in going into the games.
Coming from the Cary perspective, does that make it, I don't know if more difficult to get up for the game is the right word, but I don't know if Apex is playing with a chip on its shoulder, does that change things for Cary?
There is some psychology to it, because when I was a senior here at Cary playing football, they put a fanny tanning on us, and it's the first time that we played Apex in football in a while. So we thought that we were going to be able to go in there as a 4A team playing a 3A team, but it didn't happen that way. Apex had a very good team. They had a lot of good athletes, and they laid it on us. So you got to watch out what the psychology is of going into that game, and it's up to the coaches to put everything into perspective, have balance, but sometimes emotion does play a part in the game, but it's good not to get too overconfident.
Are there any moments back when you were a student here, let's start there. Are there any moments you really remember about Cary and Apex, whether that's football or another sport?
What I can remember being in this gym is that we were right up to the fire marshal occupancy limit in this gym. It's a small gym, and it was standing room only, and I know that we had to shut doors really early. There was a complaint about selling tickets prior to the game because Apex was worried about us selling all the tickets to Cary fans. But, we tried to give them their share. But crowds have always been good. And I can't remember any fights or anything like that. But just remembering back when I played, looking at the scoreboard was kind of embarrassing to us. I think they beat us 35-7, maybe. I mean, it was a beatdown. So
you come back to Cary as an adult, and you're teacher, coach, athletic director. How does that change your perspective as an adult now? Part of the rivalry.
Really, it kind of doesn't change. I mean, there's all these residual emotions about playing Apex in anything, and coincidentally, my father, he taught and coached at Apex for 15 years. He started teaching at Apex when it moved to Lower Duncan Road, and he coached football and wrestling and was a history teacher, and he actually retired from Apex. My brother actually wrestled against him, being at Cary, wrestled against him when he was the coach at Apex. So that was kind of strange, but it's all a family thing.
Any family?
No. And of course with wrestling, we know what Cary wrestling means, during that time. But it was like, they kind of accepted that our program is superior to theirs at the time. And that's just how it went.
As Cary grew, Apex, all of this area grew, new schools have opened in Cary and in Apex. How has the growth of this part of the county impacted the rivalry between those two schools?
I think it made us angry because they were taking students from Cary right off the Kildare Farm Road and Scottish Hills and making Apex High School with Cary students. And I know that it's the same thing with Athens. They were taking all of Lockmere off of Kildare Farm Road and making Athens, so all those kids had Cary addresses, but they weren't coming to Cary High School. So I understand about the districting, and our school couldn't be 6,000 kids. It had to stay, below 2,000. But like I said before, you go to church with people, you work with people, your kids grow up playing all kinds of rec sports together, and it's a big rivalry, but it's not a hating rivalry. It's just a healthy rivalry that you can get excited about.
I don't want to say diminished, that's not the right word, but has the heat of the rivalry come down at all? As people who move into this area and have no connection to Cary or Apex, they don't know the history. Has that impacted the?
I'm not sure. It may be up to the coaches or the cheerleaders, or maybe an athletic director or some kind of spirit person to explain, okay, wherever you came from, this is like Arizona and Arizona State. Okay, this is like Texas A&M and Texas. They may put it in that perspective, but it's not that. I mean, I don't know if there's any vandalism going on anymore. I hope not. That just doesn't do any good for anybody. But I think people learn really quick, and maybe they'll form their own opinion about what they thought about the rivalry, whether they thought it was any big deal or really there was nothing to say about it.
I talked to Bob Wolf. We did the same thing.
Sure, yeah.
That we're doing today over at Apex, and he was telling a story that he coached in the East-West All-Star game one year, and I don't remember who it was, but there was a Cary player in the game, and they got to know each other a little bit over that week.
Yeah, sure.
And the Cary player forgot his Cary practice jersey in his hotel room.
Right.
So Bob Wolf brought it home, and he wore it to practice on Cary Week.
Good tactic. Very good tactic.
What are there any things happening or have happened like that around Cary where people are bringing it?
Yeah, I think we have done that before. I can't remember if I was an athletic trainer or maybe a member of the coaching staff, football coaching staff, but I think I did that before because my dad had a lot of Apex stuff at home, and I may have taken something and worn it that week, just to elevate the emotion a little bit more. Whether it worked or not, I don't know. It's just fun.
Are there any moments from when you were coaching or when you were an AD, or even when you were a student, I guess, that you can recall, like, that is the moment that represents this rivalry? Like, was there a game? I know, like at Apex, Rob Fromm is their new head football coach.
Mm-hmm.
This year. He caught the game-winning touchdown as time was running out against Cary.
Oh wow, yeah.
So we talked about that. Are there any moments that just come to your mind and illustrate that rivalry?
Well, I remember one game. Scott Kustra, I think somehow he either picked up a fumble or a punt was blocked. And Scott Kustra, who at that time, he was probably 6'6", getting close to 300 pounds. Well, he scooped the ball and was running. It took about 6 Apex players to get him down. They were hanging all over his shoulder pads. I think they had him by the waist. And he drugged them down the field. And that right there kind of epitomizes to me, big Cary, one guy, and then 5 or 6 Apex guys trying to bring him down. So that sticks in my head as something that I'll never forget.
What would you tell, obviously you've been a leader in the school for a
Mm-hmm.
long time. What would you tell a student who's coming into Cary High School who may not know about the rivalry of Apex?
Yeah.
How would you explain it to them?
It's a friendly rivalry that it makes you feel good about your season if we beat Apex and nobody else. So just beat Apex, have a really good showing, and it's just unofficial bragging rights. It doesn't mean a thing, but it's part of what rivalries are in any kind of sport, in anything. It's just a friendly rivalry.